My name is Dan, and I think I'm documenting my own death. Not in a dramatic, poetic way, but in a slow, pixelated, and utterly terrifying crawl. It's all there, in the photos on my phone. A story I never meant to tell. A horror that's stitching itself together in the background of my life, one snapshot at a time. It started, as these things often do, with something small enough to ignore. I'm a hobbyist photographer, not a professional. I just like capturing moments. A nice sunset over the city skyline, my friends laughing at a bar, my dog, Baxter, being derpy in the park. My phone's camera roll is a chaotic digital diary of my utterly mundane life. The first time I saw it, I was showing my buddy Mark a picture I'd taken of the new bookshelf I'd assembled. It was a proud, idiot moment. I'd managed to follow the cryptic pictogram instructions without having any spare parts left over. The photo was simple. The bookshelf, standing proudly in my study corner, filled with my haphazard collection of Stephen King and vintage sci-fi. "Looks good, man," Mark had said, squinting at my phone. "Who's the creeper?" I laughed. "What creeper?" He pointed to the bottom left corner of the screen. "There, in the doorway. Looks like a tall guy just standing there." I zoomed in. My study door was open, leading to the dim hallway, and there, just inside the frame, was a smudge. A vertical, human-shaped blur of darkness, so deep it seemed to drink the light around it. It had no features, no definition. It was just a shadow. "Weird," I'd said, a slight chill tickling my spine. "Must be a trick of the light. Maybe my jacket was hanging on the door." Mark shrugged. "Probably. Looks kinda creepy though. Like a Slender Man Jr. or something." We both laughed it off. I deleted the photo, a superstitious shudder making my thumb twitch. It was nothing. A glitch, a coincidence. My apartment is old. The lighting is weird. Case closed. A week later, I was at a company barbecue at my boss's house. It was the usual forced fun. Lukewarm hot dogs, awkward small talk, and the faint smell of citronella. I was standing by the fence, looking out over the sprawling backyard, and took a panoramic shot. The green lawn, the oak tree with a tire swing, the kids playing tag. It was a nice, peaceful scene. That night, scrolling through the day's photos, my blood ran cold. In the panoramic photo, standing under the oak tree, right behind a little girl named Emily who was mid-swing, was the shadow. It was clearer this time. Still featureless, still a void of absolute black, but its shape was unmistakably humanoid. Tall, unnaturally thin, with long, spindly arms that hung at its sides. It was turned, facing the camera. I could feel it, even though it had no eyes. It was looking at me. My heart hammered against my ribs. This wasn't in my apartment. This was miles away. I zoomed in, my hands trembling. The shadow stood on the grass, but it cast no shadow of its own. The sunlight of the late afternoon didn't touch it. It was a hole punched right through reality. I spent the next hour scrutinizing every other photo from the barbecue. It wasn't in any of them, just that one panoramic shot. I thought about calling Mark, but I could already hear his voice, teasing, but with an edge of concern. "Dude, you're seeing things. Get some sleep." So I didn't call. I just lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. The image of that black form burned onto the back of my eyelids. The rational part of my brain, the part that paid bills and remembered to take out the trash, was fighting a losing battle. Coincidence, a lens flare, a smudge on the sensor. But the primal lizard part of my brain was screaming a single, panicked word: predator. A few days passed without incident. I was jumpy, scrutinizing every photo I took immediately after taking it. A selfie in the car. Check the back seat. A picture of my lunch. Check the reflection in the window. Nothing. I started to relax. Maybe it was just a weird fluke. Then came the photo from the movie theater. My girlfriend, Chloe, and I had gone to see some big-budget horror movie. It was full of cheap jump scares, and we spent most of it laughing. During a particularly quiet, tense moment, Chloe leaned in to whisper a joke. I turned my head to listen, and the camera on my phone, which was resting on my leg, must have accidentally gone off. The flash didn't fire, so the photo was dark, grainy, illuminated only by the reflected light of the screen. I found it the next morning. It was a shot of the theater seats in front of us, the backs of people's heads silhouetted against the bright screen. And there, in the aisle 2 rows ahead, stood the shadow. It was closer, much closer. In the bookshelf photo, it had been a distant blur in a doorway. At the barbecue, it was across a wide lawn. Here, it was just a few feet away. It was turned facing our row. Its long, thin form seemed to loom, even in the low-quality image. The proximity was a violation. It had been in that dark space with us, standing there, watching us while we laughed and held hands. I felt a wave of nausea. This thing wasn't tied to a location. It was tied to me. I showed Chloe. I had to. She's pragmatic, level-headed. I needed her to tell me I was crazy. She studied the photo for a long time, her brow furrowed. Dan, what is that? You see it? I asked, my voice tight. I see a dark spot. It looks like a person, but not. It's like someone edited a black cutout into the picture. She zoomed in and out. This is from last night? In the theater? I nodded, my throat too dry to speak. She looked from the phone to my face, her expression shifting from confusion to concern. Honey, this is weird. Really weird. But it has to be some kind of camera error, right? A weird stitching thing with the panoramic, and now a glitch in the dark. It's in 3 different photos, Chloe. Taken on different days, in different places. Then it's a problem with your phone, she said, her tone final. It's adding a digital artifact. You need to take it to the store, or get a new one. It was a logical explanation, a sane explanation. I clung to it like a life raft. A glitch, a faulty sensor, a corrupted file. I made a genius appointment for that afternoon. The kid at the tech store couldn't have been older than 20. He looked at my phone like it was a relic from a bygone era. Yeah, man, I can run a diagnostic, he said, tapping at his tablet. But if it's a hardware thing, it's usually easier to just upgrade. While he hooked my phone up to his machines, I paced the fluorescent-lit store. I felt like everyone was looking at me. I kept expecting to see that tall, dark shape standing between the racks of phone cases. After 20 minutes, he called me over. Diagnostic is clean, hardware's fine, software is up to date. I did a deep scan of your image files, and there's no corruption. Whatever those dark spots are, they're not coming from the phone. The life raft shattered. I felt myself sinking. What do you mean? I mean the phone is taking the picture exactly as it sees it. If there's something in the frame, it's because it was there. I took my phone back. It felt heavy and cold in my hand, like a cursed object. That night, I began my descent into true paranoia. I started going through my entire camera roll, every photo I'd taken in the last year. It was a mammoth task, thousands of images. I started with the most recent and worked my way backward. I found it in a photo from 6 months ago. It was a picture from a hiking trip with Chloe. We were at a scenic overlook. The valley spread out beneath us in a tapestry of green and gold. We were smiling, her head on my shoulder. And there, far in the background, almost invisible between two distant pine trees, was a single vertical slash of black. So small, I'd mistaken it for a tree trunk, but it wasn't. The proportions were wrong. It was too thin, too straight. It's been there all along. My hands were shaking so badly, I could barely hold the phone. I kept scrolling, my heart a frantic drum in my chest. I found another, from 9 months back. A New Year's Eve party. A crowd of laughing, drinking faces. And in the mirror behind the bar, reflecting the room, stood the shadow. It was in the corner, barely noticeable. Just a dark stain on the festivities. I found it in a photo from my birthday, in a picture from a vacation to the beach, in a shot of my parents' living room during Christmas. It was always in the background, always distant, always just a blurry shape you could easily dismiss. But now that I knew what to look for, it was everywhere. A silent, static observer in the chronicle of my life. And with a dawning, ice-cold horror, I realized the pattern. It wasn't just present, it was progressing. In the earliest photos, it was a tiny speck, a smudge on the horizon. Over the months, it had gotten larger, clearer. It moved from the extreme background to the middle distance, to the periphery. The bookshelf photo was the first time it was inside my home. The theater photo was the first time it was close. It was a trajectory, a countdown. I started taking pictures compulsively. It was a sickness. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, my heart pounding, and I'd snap a picture of the dark hallway. I'd take a selfie in the bathroom mirror, my eyes wide with fear, scanning the background for any sign of it. I was a prisoner documenting my own cell. For a few days, it didn't appear. The relief was agonizing. Maybe I had broken the cycle. Maybe by seeing it, by acknowledging it, I had robbed it of its power. I was wrong. I took a picture of Baxter sleeping on the couch, his legs twitching as he dreamed of chasing squirrels. It was a cute photo. I looked at it immediately, and there it was, in the doorway to the kitchen, closer than it had been in the study. It was now only about 15 feet away from where I was standing when I took the shot. The shadow was no longer just observing from a distance. It was entering the frame. It was approaching. I stopped going out. I called in sick to work. I told Chloe I had the flu. I couldn't bear the thought of it appearing in a photo with her, getting closer to her. I boarded myself up in my apartment, curtains drawn, lights always on. The darkness felt like its native element, a medium through which it could move. The photos became a nightmare journal. I'd take a picture of my living room from the same spot every hour. In the first one, the shadow was in the hallway doorway. 4 hours later, it was at the edge of the living room carpet. 6 hours after that, it was beside the television. It was moving when I wasn't looking. It was advancing through my home, frozen in these moments I was capturing. It never changed its posture. It just stood, facing the camera, a sentinel of nothingness. Its silence was a scream. I started to hear things, a faint, dry rustling, like old leaves scraping across concrete, coming from the other room whenever I looked at its photos. My phone would feel ice cold in my hand after I viewed one. I was losing my mind. Sleep was impossible. Food tasted like ash. I was a ghost in my own life, haunted by a deeper ghost. Chloe finally forced her way over. She took one look at me, pale, trembling, surrounded by discarded takeout containers. and her face fell. Dan, my God, what's happening to you? I couldn't speak. I just handed her my phone, open to the gallery. I'd created an album, a timeline of the horror. She scrolled through it, her expression shifting from worry to confusion, then to dawning horror. She saw the progression. The distant speck, the middle ground observer, the intruder in our lives, the approaching menace. This can't be real, she whispered, her voice shaky. It is, I croaked. It's getting closer every day. She dropped the phone on the couch like it was a venomous snake. Dan, we need to call someone, a doctor or a priest, I don't know. What would I tell them? I laughed, a hollow broken sound. Hello, 911. A shadow is stalking me in my JPEGs. We fought. She begged me to leave the apartment to come stay with her. I refused. I was too terrified to go outside, where it could be anywhere. At least here, in my fortified space, I could track its progress. I could see the enemy. She left in tears, telling me to call her when I was ready to get help. The sound of the door closing behind her felt like the slamming of a tomb. That was 3 days ago. I haven't spoken to anyone since. The only one here with me is Baxter, and even he's been acting strange. He'll sometimes stop in the middle of a room, his ears perked up, and growl softly at a patch of empty air. He sees it too, or senses it. He knows there's an intruder. This morning, I took the most terrifying picture of my life. I was in my bedroom, my last refuge. I had my back against the wall, and I held up my phone, my hand trembling violently. I pointed it at the closed bedroom door. I took a deep breath and pressed the shutter. I looked. The shadow was there. It was no longer on the other side of the door. It was inside my room. It was standing at the foot of my bed. It was so close I could have reached out and what? Touched it. There was nothing to touch. It was just a foot away from the lens. It filled the frame. Its featureless head was tilted, as if it were studying me, curious about the device I was using to capture its approach. I screamed and threw my phone across the room. It hit the wall with a sickening crack and clattered to the floor. I curled into a ball on my bed, sobbing, my entire body racked with tremors. It was here, in my room with me. After what felt like an eternity, I crawled off the bed and retrieved my phone. The screen was a spider web of cracks, but it still worked. The photo was still there, the shadow, at the foot of my bed. My final piece of evidence. I know how this ends. The trajectory is clear. The next photo will be the last one. It will be a close-up. There will be no background, no context. Just the void, filling the entire frame. And then, what happens after it reaches the lens? What happens when there is no more distance left to close? I'm writing this all down now. I'm typing it on my laptop, and I'll upload it somewhere, anywhere. A warning, a testament. My name is Dan. This is not a story. This is a suicide note written by a man who is being erased by a silence. I can hear the rustling now. It's not faint anymore. It's a soft, insistent scraping, like fingers dragging along the wall outside my bedroom. Baxter is hiding under the bed, whining. He won't come out. The lights are flickering. My phone is on the desk in front of me. I don't want to, but I have to. I have to take one last picture. I need to see how close it is. I need to know how much time I have left. I'm opening the camera app. The screen is cracked, making the world look fractured. I'm turning the phone around. I'm pointing it at myself. A final selfie. I'm too scared to look. I'm just going to take the picture and then I'll find the courage to see. My hand is shaking so much. The rustling is right behind me now. I can feel a cold spot forming at my back, a chill that has nothing to do with the air conditioning. Okay, here goes. I took the picture. I'm looking at it now. The shadow isn't behind me. It's not in the room at all. The photo is just of me, in my chair, my face a mask of pure terror. The background is my boring beige bedroom wall. There's nothing there. For a single, fleeting second, a wave of relief so powerful it makes me dizzy washes over me. It's gone. It's over. Maybe it was all in my head. Maybe Chloe was right. A nervous breakdown. A psychotic... Wait, something's wrong. In the photo, I'm looking directly at the phone, my eyes wide. But that's not right. When I took the picture, I was looking at the screen, at the reverse camera view. My eyes should be looking slightly down, at the device in my hand. But in this picture, my eyes are looking straight ahead, past the phone, past the lens. They're looking at something behind the camera, and my expression. It's not just fear, it's recognition. It's a final, silent scream of understanding. The shadow was never in front of the camera. It was holding it,